She had been looking forward to this trip for a long time. After months of hard work and saving money, she finally had the chance to take a short vacation. The city was new to her, full of bright lights and tall buildings, and she was excited to explore it. Her plan was simple: find a comfortable hotel where she could rest after busy days, enjoy the local food, and maybe even meet new people. All she wanted was a peaceful place to stay. When she arrived at the hotel, it looked beautiful from the outside. The entrance was clean and shiny, with glass doors and bright lights welcoming guests inside. The lobby was large and full of polished furniture, with people dressed in suits chatting quietly. It felt like a place where important people stayed. She walked to the front desk with a smile, ready to check in and start her stay. At the counter stood a man in a neat uniform, his name tag shining under the lobby lights. She greeted him politely and gave her name. She had booked a room online, and everything was supposed to be ready for her. But instead of the usual warm welcome, the man's expression changed. He looked uncomfortable, as if unsure what to say. "I'm sorry, ma'am," he finally said, avoiding eye contact, "but we don't have any rooms available for you tonight." She was confused. She had made a reservation weeks ago. She showed her confirmation email on her phone, but the man kept shaking his head. "We're fully booked," he repeated. "There's nothing we can do." Something felt wrong. She could see other people getting rooms. She saw families checking in and couples smiling as they got their keys. But when she asked again, the man's tone was firmer. It was clear he didn't want to help her. She asked to speak with a manager. Maybe there had been a mistake. The manager came out, a middle-aged man in a suit with a polite but cold smile. She explained her situation. She showed the reservation, the confirmation, everything. But the manager just said, "I'm sorry, ma'am. Our policy does not allow us to rent rooms to certain guests." Her heart sank. She asked, "What do you mean by that?" The manager didn't answer clearly. Instead, he suggested she try another hotel. She realized then what was really happening. She was being turned away because of the color of her skin. She felt a mix of emotions: anger, sadness, disbelief. How could this happen in a city that claimed to be open and fair? How could she be treated like she didn't belong just because she was a black woman? She stood there quietly for a moment, trying to control her feelings. People around her seemed to ignore what was happening. Some glanced her way but said nothing. Others went about their business, not stopping to help or even acknowledge her. She gathered her things and left the hotel. Outside, the night was cool, but her heart felt heavy. She wondered what would happen next. Where could she go? How many other places would treat her the same way? Would she have to face this kind of rejection again and again? As she walked down the street, she thought about all the stories she had heard about discrimination, about people being treated unfairly because of their race. She had hoped those stories were part of the past, that things had changed. But now she saw that the problem was still real, still hurting people today. Her friends had told her to be strong. "Don't let anyone make you feel less than you are," they said. But right now she felt small. She felt powerless. Still deep inside, a small voice whispered that this was not the end of her story. Something inside her was not ready to give up. She knew she could not let this moment break her. She would find a way to fight back. That night, she didn't just think about what had happened. She thought about what she wanted her future to be. She wanted a world where no one would be turned away because of who they were. She wanted a world where kindness and respect came first. She made a quiet promise to herself. She would not let this hotel be the place where her dreams stopped. One day she would show everyone that she belonged, not just as a guest but as someone in charge, someone who could change things. For now, she found a small motel nearby. It wasn't fancy, but it was a place to rest. As she lay in bed that night, her mind was full of ideas. She knew the road ahead wouldn't be easy, but she felt something new: hope. The next morning, she began to plan. She started researching the hotel's history, learning about who owned it, how it worked. She spoke with friends and mentors, sharing her story and asking for advice. Many people were shocked by what had happened and wanted to help. Slowly, a plan began to take shape. This was not just about one night or one hotel room. This was about standing up against unfairness and showing that change was possible. She imagined a day when she would return to that hotel, but not as a visitor, as the owner. Her heart beat faster with each step she took toward this dream. The humiliation she felt was still there, but it was now mixed with determination. She was ready to turn her pain into power. This was the beginning of a journey, one that would take time, courage, and hard work. But she knew it was worth it. Because no one should ever have to be denied a place to stay, just because of the color of their skin. After the painful experience at the hotel, she knew she could not just forget what happened. The memory of being turned away because of her skin color stayed with her every day. At first, she felt hurt and angry, but soon those feelings turned into something stronger, determination. She decided she would not let this unfair treatment win. Instead, she would fight back in a way that could make a real difference. She spent hours thinking about what she could do. There were many ways to react to something unfair, but she wanted to choose the path that would create change. She did not want to only share her story and move on. She wanted to make sure no one else would be treated the same way in that hotel again. She wanted to find a way to change the rules, the people, and the whole system that allowed such unfairness. She started by talking to her closest friends and family. At first, she just needed to share what happened. Telling the story out loud helped her feel less alone. Her friends were shocked and saddened by her experience. They listened carefully, offering words of comfort and support. But soon, their conversations changed. They began to talk about what could be done. One friend suggested she speak to local groups that work for civil rights and equality. Another encouraged her to write about her experience in newspapers and on social media. She took all this advice seriously. She wanted her voice to be heard not just by those close to her, but by the wider community. She wrote a detailed message about the rejection at the hotel, explaining how it made her feel and why it was wrong. She shared the message online and it quickly spread. Many people read it and offered their support. Some shared their own stories of unfair treatment. Others offered to help in any way they could. She realized that her story was not unique. Many people face discrimination every day, but not all of them spoke up. Her courage to share inspired others to stand up too. The online support gave her strength. She understood that together, voices were stronger. Next, she began to research more about the hotel itself. She wanted to learn who owned it, how much it was worth, and whether she could do something more direct to bring change. This was a new challenge for her. She was not a business expert, but she was ready to learn. She spent hours online, reading articles and studying business records. She discovered that the hotel was owned by a private company. It was possible to buy shares or even the entire hotel if she could find the right investors. The idea of owning the hotel she had been rejected from seemed almost impossible at first. But the more she learned, the more it felt like a real goal. She reached out to people in her network who knew about business and investing. Some were surprised by her plan, but respected her passion and determination. They began to introduce her to professionals who could help. Lawyers, financial advisors, and business mentors offered their advice, some even free of charge, moved by her story. She spent weeks attending meetings, asking questions, and learning the language of business. Words like shares, assets, investment, and acquisition were new to her, but she worked hard to understand them. She wanted to be ready when the time came to make an offer. During this time, she also thought about what kind of hotel she wanted to create. She didn't just want to own a building. She wanted to build a place where everyone felt welcome and respected. A hotel where no one would ever be judged by their skin color, gender, or background. This vision gave her hope and kept her motivated. While working on her plan, she faced doubts and fears. Some days she felt overwhelmed by the challenges ahead. She wondered if she was dreaming too big or if the hotel owners would even consider selling. But every time doubt crept in, she reminded herself why she started this journey. She remembered the hurt she felt standing in that lobby, rejected and ignored. She remembered the faces of people who walked by without offering help. She remembered the small voice inside her that said, "You are stronger than this." This voice became her guide. Her determination caught the attention of local media. A few reporters wanted to tell her story and follow her journey. She agreed because she wanted more people to understand that discrimination still exists, but also that it can be challenged and overcome. The support grew bigger, and with it, her confidence. She no longer felt alone. Communities, civil rights, groups and business organizations reached out with encouragement. They believed in her dream and wanted to see her succeed. As the days passed, she prepared to take the next step. She began to put together a plan to buy the hotel. She calculated how much money she needed and how she could raise it. She reached out to potential investors, explaining her vision not only as a business opportunity but as a chance to make history. Some investors were hesitant at first, unsure about the risks. But she was persistent. She met with them again and again, showing her research, her passion, and her plan for the hotel's future. Slowly, some began to believe in her. Behind the scenes, she also kept learning about leadership and management. Owning a hotel was not just about money, it was about people. She wanted to be ready to create a welcoming environment, hire staff fairly, and build a team that shared her values. At night, when she was tired, she sometimes doubted herself. But she found strength in small victories, a positive phone call, a new supporter, or a bit more knowledge. Every step forward, no matter how small, felt like a win. One day, she received a call that made her heart race. An investor she had been talking to was interested in backing her. This was the moment she had worked so hard for. She knew the journey was still long, but this was proof that her dream was possible. She thanked everyone who helped her along the way. Their belief gave her courage. She also promised herself she would never forget the reason she started, to fight against unfairness and build a better future. Her story was no longer just about being denied a hotel room. It was about hope, courage, and the power of determination. She was ready to take the next step and to turn her dream into reality. After months of learning, planning, and gathering support, she finally stood at the edge of making a bold move. The idea of buying the hotel, the very one that had refused her a room, once seemed like a distant dream. But now, with investors ready to back her, and knowledge gained through hard work, the dream was becoming real. She knew this moment was more than a business deal. It was about reclaiming her dignity, proving her strength, and sending a clear message. Discrimination would no longer control her life or the lives of others. The process of buying a hotel was not easy. There were many steps, and she had to learn, each one carefully. She worked closely with lawyers who helped her understand the contracts and paperwork. She met with financial experts who explained the details of the offer she was making. Every meeting was a chance to grow more confident. When it was time to present her offer to the hotel's current owners, she felt nervous, but she reminded herself of why she was doing this. She was not just buying a building, she was buying a chance to change things. Her offer was clear and fair. She had gathered enough funds to buy the hotel outright, and she showed the owners how serious she was. She also shared her vision for the hotel's future, a place where every guest would be treated with respect and kindness. The owners listened. Some were surprised that the woman they had turned away was now standing before them as a buyer. They asked questions, curious about her plans and how she would run the hotel. She answered honestly and confidently. She spoke about the importance of inclusion, about welcoming people from all walks of life, and about creating a new culture inside the hotel. She spoke about community, respect, and opportunity. Negotiations took time. There were moments when the owners hesitated, unsure about selling to someone with no previous experience in hotel ownership, but her determination and clear vision impressed them. They could see she was serious and capable. Finally, the deal was agreed upon. She became the new owner of the hotel. The news spread quickly. Friends, family, and supporters celebrated her victory. It was a moment of joy and pride. She had turned a painful experience into a powerful success. Owning the hotel brought new challenges. She knew that her work was just beginning. She had to learn how to manage staff, handle operations, and keep the business running smoothly. She wanted to make sure that every part of the hotel reflected her values. She began by meeting the employees. She listened to their stories, learned about their work, and shared her own vision. She made it clear that the hotel was a place where everyone would be treated fairly with respect, no matter their background. She introduced training programs focused on kindness, respect, and understanding. These programs help staff learn how to serve guests better and how to work together as a team. She wanted the hotel to be a place where employees felt proud and valued. Next, she reached out to the community. She invited local artists to display their work in the hotel, organized events that celebrated different cultures, and supported local businesses by buying supplies from them. She wanted the hotel to be a place that connected people, not separated them. She also worked on improving the hotel's services. She listened to guest feedback and made changes to ensure everyone felt welcome and comfortable. She made sure the hotel was accessible to people with disabilities and offered special services for families and travelers from different countries. The hotel began to change. It was no longer just a building. It became a symbol of hope and progress. Guests noticed the difference. Many praised the warm and friendly atmosphere. Some even said it was the best hotel experience they had ever had. Behind the scenes, she faced difficulties. Running a hotel was hard work, with long hours and many problems to solve. Sometimes old habits from the past were hard to change. Some staff were resistant to new ideas, but she stayed patient and kept working, knowing that change takes time. She also faced criticism from some people who did not believe she could succeed. Some doubted her ability because of her race or gender, but she refused to listen to negativity. Instead, she used it as fuel to work harder. Her success inspired others in the community. Young people saw her as a role model, a woman who had faced unfairness and had turned it into an opportunity. She often spoke at local schools and community centers, encouraging others to follow their dreams and stand up against injustice. With time, the hotel became more than just a business. It became a place where stories were shared, friendships were made, and respect was the foundation of every interaction. It stood as proof that one person's courage and vision could make a difference. Her journey from being rejected to becoming a hotel owner was a powerful reminder that setbacks do not have to stop us. They can be the start of something new and better. Every time she walked through the hotel lobby, she remembered the moment she was denied a room. But now she walked with pride, knowing she had turned that moment into a victory, not just for herself, but for many others. The day she officially became the owner of the hotel was full of excitement, but also a lot of responsibility. She had worked so hard to reach this point, but she knew her journey was far from over. Owning the hotel was just the beginning. Now, it was time to build something new, something better than what had been before. She looked around the building with fresh eyes. The tall glass windows, the wide hallways, the busy lobby, all of it now belonged to her. But it wasn't just about ownership. She wanted to create a space where every guest felt welcome, no matter where they came from or what they looked like. She wanted the hotel to stand for fairness, kindness, and respect. One of the first things she did was sit down with the hotel staff. She knew that change couldn't happen alone. It had to start with the people who worked there every day. Some of the staff were nervous. They didn't know what to expect from the new owner. Others were curious, and a few even looked hopeful. She stood in front of them and spoke from the heart. She told them her story, not just the part about being turned away, but also about the journey that brought her back. She explained her dreams for the hotel and how she wanted it to become a place that made people feel valued. She didn't blame anyone. She didn't raise her voice. She simply asked for a fresh start. The room was quiet, but her words touched many. Some staff members came to her later and said they were ready to help her build this new vision. They said they wanted to be part of something meaningful. She began making changes. Not everything needed to be replaced, but a new spirit had to be added. She started by offering training sessions for the staff. These were not just about customer service, but also about understanding different cultures, backgrounds, and ways to treat people with care. In these sessions, the staff learned how a smile, A kind word, or even listening to someone's needs, could make a big difference. They practiced treating every guest with equal respect, and slowly the energy of the hotel began to shift. The guests noticed it too. Some who had visited before returned and said the hotel felt different, in a good way. The air felt lighter, the smiles seemed more genuine, and the staff appeared more confident and connected. She also changed the hotel's hiring policy. She made sure that people from all walks of life had the chance to work there. She didn't just look at resumes. She looked at passion, character, and willingness to learn. She believed in giving people a chance, just like she had been given a chance by those who supported her dream. Next, she made physical changes to the hotel. She updated the rooms to be more comfortable and added small touches that made the space feel warmer. She added artwork from local artists, many of whom came from underrepresented communities. She wanted the hotel to feel like a part of the city's heart. She created a special lounge area where guests could relax, read, or meet new people. There were books about kindness, history, travel, and stories of people who had overcome difficulties. It became one of the most loved areas in the hotel. She also built a new team to focus on community programs. This team helped organize events, like career fairs, workshops for young people, and cultural festivals that welcomed everyone. The hotel became more than just a place to sleep. It became a place where people came to learn, celebrate, and connect. One of the most meaningful changes she made was creating a guest welcome pledge. This was a simple card placed in every room, written in warm, friendly words. It promised that every person who stayed at the hotel would be treated with respect, care, and kindness, no matter their race, religion, or background. Many guests wrote back to say how touched they were by this small but powerful message. But even with all the good changes, there were still challenges. Not every guest understood or agreed with the new values of the hotel. A few made complaints. Some even left bad reviews, but she stayed strong. She believed in the direction she had chosen, and most guests supported her efforts. She reminded her staff often that doing the right thing wasn't always the easiest path, but it was always worth it. Over time, the negative voices faded, and the hotel's reputation began to grow. People started talking about it as a place of warmth, change, and progress. Media outlets became interested in her story again. Journalists visited the hotel, curious about how a woman who was once denied a room had transformed the same space into a place of hope and hospitality. She gave interviews not to boast, but to share her message. That change is possible when we lead with courage and kindness. The hotel won awards for community service and excellent hospitality. But more than the awards, what made her proud were the letters she received from guests and staff. Some wrote about how their stay gave them peace. Others said they felt inspired to chase their own dreams after hearing her story. She kept one letter in her office, a simple note from a young girl who stayed with her family. It read, "Thank you for making a hotel where people are nice. I want to be like you when I grow up." That note reminded her why she started all of this. Each morning, she walked through the lobby with pride. She greeted guests, checked on her staff, and made sure things were running smoothly. She wasn't just a hotel owner. She was a leader, a teacher, and a builder of something beautiful. The hotel no longer looked the same as the day she was turned away. It had changed. It had grown, and so had she. As time went on, her journey became an inspiring story not just for the city but for many people far beyond. The hotel she now owned was no longer just a place to stay. It was a symbol of hope, strength, and change. People from all walks of life came to visit, not only to enjoy the service but to witness how one woman's courage turned a painful experience into something beautiful. She often thought back to the day when she was denied a hotel room. It felt like a lifetime ago, but the memory was still strong. That moment of rejection had been a painful wound, but it had also been the spark that started everything. Without that experience, she might never have dreamed so big or worked so hard to create something better. Her story reminded many that life's challenges can be turned into opportunities. She often spoke at schools, conferences, and community events. She shared her journey honestly, telling people about the struggles, the fears, and the hard work, but also the hope and joy that came from never giving up. She encouraged others to stand up for themselves and for what is right. She told young people that even when the world seems unfair, they have the power to change it. Her message was simple: believe in yourself, work hard, and don't let anyone make you feel less than you are. The hotel continued to grow and improve. She added new programs to support local businesses and young entrepreneurs. She created scholarships for students who wanted to study hospitality or business. She even started a mentorship program to help women and minorities succeed in careers they might have thought were out of reach. Her leadership was kind, but strong. She listened to others, learned from mistakes, and always put people first. The hotel staff admired her not just for what she had achieved, but for how she treated them, with respect and care. She celebrated their successes and supported them through hard times. Sometimes the challenges came back in new forms. Business could be tough, and not every decision was easy. There were moments of doubt and worry, but she always remembered the bigger picture. Her dream was about more than profits. It was about making the world a better place, one step at a time. She also made sure to take time for herself. Running a hotel and leading a community was demanding, and she knew she needed rest to stay strong. She found joy in simple things: reading a good book, spending time with friends and family, or walking in the park. These moments gave her peace and renewed energy. Her story spread through newspapers, television, and online. Many people reached out to thank her for sharing her experience and for showing that change is possible. She became a symbol of hope and courage for many who had faced unfairness or discrimination in their own lives. One day, a group of young people asked if they could visit the hotel to learn from her. They wanted to see how she turned her dream into reality. She welcomed them warmly and shared her lessons openly. She told them that success is not about never failing, but about never giving up. She showed them the training rooms, the community spaces, and the guest lounge. She introduced them to staff members who shared their own stories of growth and hope. The visit inspired the young people, and many left with new dreams of their own. Her story did not stop with the hotel. She started working with other businesses and leaders to promote fairness and respect everywhere. She helped create programs that fought discrimination and supported diversity in many areas of life. Her voice became powerful, not just in her city but across the country. Despite all the success, she remained humble. She never forgot where she started or the struggles she faced. She often said that her story was not just about her, but about the people who stood beside her, the friends, family, mentors, and supporters who believed in her when it was hard to believe in herself. Looking back, she felt proud of what she had created. The hotel was more than just a building. It was a home for many, a place where kindness was the rule and everyone had a chance. She had turned a painful moment into a powerful movement. Her journey showed that even in the face of unfairness, with courage and determination, it is possible to build a brighter future. She became a living example of hope and strength, inspiring others to dream big and work hard. The hotel continued to welcome guests from all over the world. Many returned year after year, not only for the comfort but for the story it held. The story of a woman who refused to be denied and who turned rejection into success. And so her life became a story told again and again, a story of courage, change, and the power of believing in oneself. It was a story that proved no matter where you start, you can reach great heights with hope, hard work, and a heart full of kindness.